It's great to be back on Coffee Gang. Thank you so much for joining us this wonderful Saturday evening. How's your week been like? I'm sure absolutely good in spite of the lockdown. And of course, by Monday the 4th, many people will be going out and doing their businesses. But then you remember that there's some measures that you have to put into consideration at this point in time. My name is Volabo Fimos Cole and this is Coffee Gang. I'm not alone on the coffee table this evening. I'm actually with someone else on the coffee table. She is Mrs. Oteshili. That's the way I call her. I don't know the first name now. Maybe you have to introduce yourself.
Okay,
Can't remember.
Oteshili.
Okay. It's great to have you here. She actually talks on gender balance issue and psychology counselor.
Counseling psychologist.
Okay, counseling psychologist, pardon me. All right, it's great to have you here on this platform. I like what you're putting on.
Oh.
And of course, it's still like, yes, the kind of mood that we are into. Many people are yet to get back to this hassle and bustling thing. But it's great to have you here. There are a lot of issues begging for attention, a lot of social issues. In fact, if you open the social media now, the infodemic is like, it sends this jittery all down your spine. Like, are this information really true? Is it really the fact? And people go about passing all sorts. But let's come down to social distancing. I know in the past, since this COVID-19 thing came up, especially in Nigeria where we had lockdown, we still have lockdown. Many people are not even observing it. Even in some states that you can actually move within some certain period before curfew, you find that people are not observing it. People are just going about. If you go, let me take for instance, now go to Iwo Road. You see people clustered like nothing is happening. And these are people that, you can't tell where they have been to. You can't even write some of their history, where they're coming from. Everybody just merged together. I'm using that as an example. I've also seen some videos of people trying to get palliatives, and now where is the social distancing? And I keep asking myself when I see those pictures, is it just written or just for the sake of just, yes, social distance, yes, this and that. But let's really get what social distancing, because WHO came up to say we should say physical distancing. We should not say social distancing this time around. Like physically,
Stay
distance yourself. And some people are already asking, like maybe in pidgin language, how do you say social distance so that people can understand what it means? Like no gum body, stay where you day or day your day your day, all sort. How do we define social distancing? Maybe for many of our people, watching this evening.
Well, again, let me say it's always a pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, always, always on the side.
Okay, and social distancing, it's really a challenge to
now
have
the
to
word physical
understand it.
distancing.
Now now we're moving to physical distancing because it's done that a lot of people were not able to understand the social distancing. And so let's break it down. It means that you stay, I think it's about 2 meters apart or 3.
Like what we're doing in the studio right about
yes,
now.
So it's just saying give enough space between yourself and the next person to you. And so in the Nigerian language, like you said, day your lane, no gumbody, no my body they touch you. And we're a very funny set of people. You go to the ATM and there's a queue, and people, I don't know why we do this. Some people, if they do not have some physical contact with you, even though they've not met you before, it's like they're not able
annoying,
to,
right? Like
you're on the line. Stay. Let me stay on my own. So for us here, it's just saying that the person beside you should not be in the space of your sneeze or of your cough. If you can understand that.
And now you have to sneeze into your elbow.
Into your elbow.
Not even out.
Now,
like,
even the into your elbow, we still don't get it. Now, when you say into your elbow, and I'm like this, now,
it's splashing out.
It's still splashing out. So, into your elbow really means that, you're coughing or sneezing into it, and it's it's your elbow that takes whatever is coming from you. And I think that those are the things that it's important for us to bring to mind in this part. It's so difficult, even with children, especially in homes, and that's why sometimes I laugh about this. A lot of things begin to come out when we have issues like this come around. You look at population. I've continued to talk about it, that when we talk about protection issues, when we talk about development, there is no way we would not bring the indices of population into this. Now, in a home where you have 7 children or where you have 10 children in one bedroom,
wow.
Tell me what social distancing they are going to do. Those are important issues we need to look into. In houses in Lagos where you're face me on face, in Lagos system, there are places where it's bed space that you buy.
I'm a lot scared now, even with this curfew. The government is saying from 8 p.m. thereabout, you're not expected to be outside. Imagine in Lagos, 8 p.m., people just trying to get home. And I'm just wondering.
No, exactly. Life is actually just
starting. People cluster together at the bus stops trying to get vehicle, and you can imagine there is a ban on motorcycle. I'm just imagining, as the federal government, the government of the state, have they really thought about this? Are we over with COVID-19? Are people taking it serious, especially for this physical distancing? People just feel that it's a big joke. People just crack joke around it. Even with the nose mask, you see all sorts. You see the Ankara. And then somebody just said, why are you making this thing with Ankara? Does it solve any problem? All of these instances, we just make a joke around it. And people are dying. Like, if you go to Kano, for instance, now, you can't count the number of dead bodies. How serious are we to get it right? Especially for that physical distancing, because we have erred on every ground.
I really think that it's pretty complex in Nigeria, because there are a lot of things that come into play, and that's why we cannot afford to have that lockdown extended beyond the time that it is now.
It's over. It's going to be easy.
Because the truth about it is that crime rate has increased because people do not have food to eat at home. The economy
so government is shifting its responsibility
it's
here.
Not so much
when
about,
it's supposed to take care of all of this.
It's not so much about the government shifting its responsibility. It's so much about so many things that have not been put in place up until now. And now that we have crisis in our hand, it's not possible to just quickly set all of those things in place. For instance, your healthcare system that's not been good, no insurance for healthcare workers. You don't just over the night now just create and make the healthcare system perfect.
But is that enough for people not to social distance, not to physically distance themselves? It matters. And then you just look at it, it's gory. Like, why are people doing this? There's a lot of information.
You again ask yourself, for instance, there was a football match that was played in Kano, and you want to ask yourself, are we in
the midst of all of this?
Is there something fundamentally wrong with us, or is it just that we're just a different, it's just that we're just a different kind of people? So it's understanding. It's for me, illiteracy is a major part of it. And of course, when you talk about illiteracy or you talk about education, you don't just talk about education in the 4 walls. Okay. You also talk about illiteracy of the mind. It's just the fact that we're very Nigerians, permit me to say, are very mentally lazy. A lot of times we hear things and we don't think them through. We usually would have another person think through. For instance, you get to the newspaper stand. Now you can read this newspaper for yourself, and then you see how people saying they can just pick up the newspaper and read themselves. But you see how somebody say, "What do you read there? But what do they say?" We have that, and so it's almost as if it has become a culture for us.
But what do we say about pharmaceutical approach to all of this? Because social or physical distancing, it's more or less like non-pharmaceutical measure and intervention to reduce the spread of COVID-19. But people here believe more in the pharmaceutical approach, like, let me take some drugs. Let me take some glove of what do they call it now, ginger or even garlic. Let me take a whole lot into my system. It'll wash it off. And why is it that people prefer to do the pharmaceutical aspect and leave non-pharmaceutical intervention like physical distancing?
The truth about it, I keep saying, we also need to put to mind how people have been living up until now. I cited the example of the house where you have a family where you have 10 children in one bed. Now tell me how they want to achieve social distancing. Or you have
possibly none families, of them have COVID-19.
You have 10 families because that's how they've been living. There's no space. That's how they live. You sleep here, I sleep here. You just hang yourself. That's the life they have been used to. Or you have a compound that has probably 8-10 families. That's reality. That's how people have been staying. So for you to now just come in and say that, of course, now there is something serious killing us and we need to stay away. For some of them, the truth is they're really helpless. And then there's that
But
other
do they
part of us that
understand the implication of actually physical distancing? What about away from the homes? They're on the streets, trying to get one or two things at the marketplace, even get palliatives. Why do they still cluster together? I used an example of Iwo Road. You need to get there. Quite a number of them in many complexes. You see them, shopping complexes, all clustered, fused together like nothing is happening. And of course, if you ask them, they'll say, COVID-19, ensure that you social distance, ensure that you wear your nose mask. They know all of these things, but they don't practice it. What is this thing about our psyche? Do we really believe in this?
Well, for me, I think there are a number of things that can come to play. It might be very difficult to be able to say categorically that this is the main cause why people behave the way people are. The human mind is really very complex. We keep trying to understand the reasons behind the actions, actions of men. But you can just assume.
With the Babu COVID-19, Babu Corona, and people will wash their hands into plastic and drink it.
How do you explain that? How do you explain that? With or without the virus? Even that itself, you're wondering, are we from the same place? Like, let me leave
Actually, it's shocking for many people out there. It's actually embarrassing that at the level of our exposure, talking about the fact that we're giant of Africa, and of course when this started, the awareness was there. We had the NCDC, and of course going to all this interiors community to ensure that there is no community transmission of COVID-19. But you now see people treating it with levity, like, well, what is the big deal? There is nothing like that, and of course you see them dying.
If I can cut you, if I can cut you here, I think again it's important to state that I also believe that part of what is responsible for this is that the average Nigerian does not have faith in our government, and that's a sad part.
So is it about the government or their own safety, their own health? Well, because most times you don't even depend on government to get yourself good, in terms of, some people go for self-medication without even letting the government know that they have an ailment. Now the government is saying help yourself, so that your communities will
and
not
they don't even
prevalent.
believe that
and
what the government is saying is true. Those are the fundamental issues
even
that we need to look at.
Even with the pictures we've been seeing internationally.
Now the unfortunate thing is, Yorubas will say, we're having a discussion before we came on air, and Yorubas will say, "Tito wa te gbo, alo."
Like you said,
like I said. So we had initially that's the danger of having wrong information across. And that's one of the things we're groping with the social media. Now, initially, it was everywhere that it was a white man's disease, and that it could only thrive in cold regions. And this place is
that
hot.
Was the infodemic.
That was a wrong
misconception coming from China.
Yes, a lot of people still have that misconception that of course it's here. Well, it's here though, but the hot weather will not let it stay. And that's why, of course, you have people inhaling all kind of things that they're inhaling. So there's a lot of course, wrong information. There's also a lot of mistrust in what the government says over time. So it's just, for them, it's just about numbers. They are here again, and it's so much about. Then another thing is, when someone stays in a state of despair for too long, it also has a way of making you look at danger with levity. Because it's almost as if you've lost hope. And that's where, again, that I see a lot of Nigerians. That's the level that I see a lot of Nigerians.
Why do we have to do stomach infrastructure for everything? Even at the detriment of our health. People prefer to eat and die, rather than to protect themselves, from dying of a particular ailment that can kill within 14 days. You realize that people just forget everything when there's a bag of rice
in place. They live in the moment.
Exactly. They just want to grapple with that, and they forget every other thing. Why would I use the word gullible? Why is it that we have a number of people who are gullible? They don't ask questions. They are not careful. They don't even care about what happens to them in the later life.
Again, I said something about despair. When you're in that state. The truth about it is, at that level, you only live per day.
Wow.
Now, these are people that, before now, the hope that they have is just to survive a day. So, whatever it is that you're bringing into them, what is more important to them is just to be able to eat in the now, because tomorrow for them is bleak. So even that tomorrow that you want to keep them alive for, there is nothing in it for them. It's bleak. They can't see that tomorrow that you want them to live for. So as far as they are concerned, they would rather live in today.
So what happens in the long run?
That's their life to do tomorrow.
We have a number of people getting sick and our healthcare system getting overwhelmed. How many people can the healthcare system take care of?
I think
when people do not take to all of this adherence.
Again, I think it's very, very important that we have eyewitnesses. We have survivors share their story. I know a couple of persons have been doing that.
On the social media.
On the social media. But usually it's stronger when it's the person that that you believe in saying this. And these are the times that I feel that the religious leaders, the community leaders, the social influencers really need to come out at this point to talk about this. Now, I keep saying that a president has been able to address us, well, one or two times since this has happened, as opposed to what
Trump has been addressing, and now he shot himself in the foot, saying that you can use disinfectant as
no, I think that was taken out of context. But let's even.
But I listened to the video, and I watched the video. That's exactly what he said.
I think,
and that wasn't a joke. Well, that wasn't supposed to be a joke at a critical time.
Well,
like this,
Trump. I tried to get out of Trump argument. I rather to stay in a joke. But the point is, that's the president that talks to his people regularly. Now you have a prime minister in UK that does the same thing. In Italy, in Spain, in Japan, you have presidents, prime ministers coming out. You have them coming out regularly to talk to their people. And then I say in Nigeria, our president talks to us how many times? And then let's even leave the president at federal level. How many governors on a regular basis
they use Twitter
to talk to their
Twitter, social media?
How many people are on Twitter? Now you have a lot of people on social media. A lot of people don't even have data. You have them there, yes, but you have more people off the social media, and that's the truth about it. In their homes, in the markets, they're not at home.
So the state governments should do enough.
State governments, and then where you have local government chairmen. Okay, here we don't know what exactly is happening at the local level. Yeah, we have caretaker, chairman and all of that. But of course, I think this is a time, whether you are a caretaker or you are, whatever it is, at local government level, this is where they need to come out and talk. Continue to talk about this.
So taking responsibility. It's very important.
When you are I know you, there's something that comes with trust. Trust and communication. Now, if you say something to me, how I perceive you, my perception of you, the trust I have with you, or the level of value I place on on your person will determine how I take whatever it is you said to me. And that's what I think will also work here.
But I think it will help Nigerians to look away from what the government has done in the past that they never trusted. This is real. COVID-19 is real. And the moment they start taking preventive measures, the better for the society.
And
of course for the community too. In as much as there is mistrust, you don't trust the government because in the past they have actually failed.
Not just
people.
In the past, even
at present, some people are already counting losses. But then we don't want to delve on that. We hope that people would take all the precautionary measures. We have to move on very quickly. I was actually looking at parents coping at this time. I know a number of kids are actually back at home. And some parents are sweating. Sometimes they have to oh my God, when will these schools resume? Let these kids get back. And of course, the academic session has been affected
disrupted
now. And obviously the kids now, they're back at home, they play, watch cartoon. But now, how can parents actually manage this period? Because I was actually reading what some therapists have been talking about, that don't overwhelm yourself. Don't kill yourself trying to say, yes, my children has to be off this. They have to read at this point in time. Don't put yourself, don't put so much pressure on yourself at this point in time. Do you agree to an extent that parents now have to devise a means to actually manage themselves, take care of themselves, and at the same time, if their kids actually want to be on screen, watch screen for a while, do a number of paintings, they should not allow the kids lead instead of them saying that there is a timetable, like the normal thing, preoccupy the kids, preoccupy themselves, and now they are more stretched. What do you think parents need to be doing? Do they work according to how their emotions, how they feel, and work accordingly and not following all the rudiments? I know there are a number of 1001 advices right online. Do this, do that, do this so that your kids will be up to date. What do parents need to do at this point in time so that they don't also get overwhelmed with what is happening?
Well, I think it's a bit of a number of things. Of course, first importantly, I always say it is, if you're not fine, you can give anything. So a lot of parents need to take care of their mental health themselves before they can successfully manage their children at this time. And as much as I say, do not put pressure on your children, particularly at this time, it's also important that we don't completely let them go, because they're also vulnerable at this time. There's a lot of sexual exploitation on the internet. There's a lot of negative things happening. Crime has increased. Sexual abuse of children has also increased at this time. So parents cannot ultimately let go. But I think it's important that you set boundaries, or set routine for them, even though you're not really pinning down on what exactly they're doing at this time. Let there be a routine. Okay, so you wake up at this time, and then this is what you want to do at this time, or this is, let the children explore.
So do we have routine at all, or just break all the rules and do it the way it comes, like every day, the way it just shows up? Like maybe you wake up in the morning and you feel this morning the kids should be on the screen, they should watch some cartoon. Or you just wake up the other day and you feel that, okay, yes, my brain is a lot brighter, I'm back from work. Okay, let me see your mathematics books, let me work on your English book or your sentences. Do you think there should be a routine, or we break the protocol here? For many parents,
parenting always has to be deliberate. You
So
can't leave
talking
things
about
to
even
chance.
the lockdown.
Parenting has to be intentional and deliberate. There's so much that parents can achieve with their children at this time. The truth about it is, a lot of parents don't even know their children, and I see that this is really this is a time given to us, on the platter of gold, for us to make the best out of our children. For instance, I said an example with myself. I like to try and make this a bit more practical. I have a boy that will be 7 in a couple of days, on the 8th, and I've always been saying that, okay, when he's 6, will start becoming domesticated, start working at home and all of that. And we keep saying it because I need to get up early in the morning, and I can't wait for him to do whatever chores I want him to do before I get him ready for school. And so this time gave me that opportunity for us to teach how to wash dishes, and then of course I allow him to do it.
Great opportunity.
So a lot of parents can achieve a lot of things. My husband had time with him at some point, and then he said he wanted to learn how to code, how to make a game, and so he learned that also.
Okay,
so
let me just read out this very quickly. It says, taking time for yourself in order to avoid overcommitting and overextending is also a really good habit to demonstrate for your children. Children learn from not only what we say, but also by watching what we do.
If our children
learn it's more practical here.
Children learn more from what we do than what we say. If more often than not, they don't take what we say, they do what we do,
because they can't see the practical terms in it. When it's always theoretical part,
it's easier to
saying it
the truth about it, the way the brain and the eyes work. The eyes see, it stores it involuntarily. It sees something, it stores it in the brain, and when there's a repeat or there's a need to call it, there's stimulus, there's message to the brain, and the brain just brings it. So even when the child really does not want to, because there has been graphical representation of it, it's easier for him to reproduce it.
Overcommitted, like you're overcommitted, and like, this is your maths work, you must understand Pythagoras or whatever
Pythagoras theorem or whatever.
Pythagoras
theorem.
Yes, Pythagoras theorem. I know of that. You know, when your kids actually, when you have to actually make them do this state of a commitment that like, this is your mathematics, you must actually get it right at this point in time. Will that work? I think this is what the therapists are trying to talk about. Like you're over concentrating and putting all your power and commitment into this and like making it like a norm for your kids to understand at all costs, whether they like it or not.
I think balancing is very, very key. That's why I said, yes, it's important to set routines, to create routines, because you know it's also a time for you to teach them some life skills. You know, understanding timing. It's a time. That's why I say you see parents can achieve a lot of things even at this time. For instance, I'm also choosing to use this opportunity to teach my child working for money and how to save and all of those things. So we have chores at home, we have a business at home, we're taking care of the house, and you know each chore actually has a monetary value. Now because we're learning something at this time, and we're teaching, okay, when you work you earn money, and then when you earn money you can save.
And for the little ones like painting, is it expressive
yes, like
enough?
So even though you have routine, you still let the child, you know, like do what they want to do. It's just that you're there to monitor, to supervise. What you just want to do is just make sure that you don't completely let go. They don't just sleep and wake up by 12 a.m. and then eat and you know watch TV for like 5 hours and all of that. No,
I feel your pain, parents, because right now when you're listening, you're like, you understand. We're actually in your shoes. I know the homes right now, it's actually like a warfare. Everywhere is scattered, it's turned upside down. You can't even explain how you go about all the activities of the day and actually dealing with your kids, but you get over it. Don't get overwhelmed. And I think Mrs. Oteshile has said something really important about actually planning, and of course parenting is a whole lot. Okay, before we go, we have to go. The major thing is that there's no greener pasture anywhere. We've seen it, and of course we've seen witnesses, people who have traveled for greener pastures coming back to say another thing all the way around. We feel that many people that actually harnessing money from the little they are supposed to use and eat right now should focus on developing themselves right here in Nigeria. There's a lot of opportunity. If there's opportunity for you to travel, why not? But do not take
how
what
you
you're
go.
supposed.
I think how you go is usually very, very important, and always double check whatever information that you get. And this is why I think the government also needs to help us. There are people that want to leave the country for whatever reason, so that diplomatic relationship or where people can get information on the process, you know, on the process, the right process of, you know, of leaving the country. If that, it's important for us to be able to create that.
I wish we can go on and on and on. I had a wonderful evening, and I'm sure you've been able to take one or two lessons on today's program itself. It's been fantastic. It's been Coffee Gang, and we hope to have you again next week for another interesting edition. My name is Bola Bofimo School. Stay safe, and of course Mrs. Oteshile will do our introduction. I won't do it myself.
Okay, so I am Ibukolu. I am Ibukolu Oteshile.
And of
nice
course,
being here.
Yeah, remember to follow us on Instagram. That's Coffee Gang Cruise, and follow us.
The real gang.
Really gang.